I wanted to try Marc Jacobs Daisy Love Oh So Sweet because it's compared to Beyond Romance by Ralph Lauren, and that's a perfume I wanted to try for ages. I actually managed to get hold of a bottle of that one via eBay, which I then sold on because I really couldn't get along with it. But anyway, I kind of ended up selling that one before I managed to do a comparison of the two. But I'll just talk about this one now because I have the same problems with Daisy Love Oh So Sweet that I had with Beyond Romance, and I do think they smell very, very similar to each other. So this is Daisy Love. As you can see, it comes in this kind of girly little flower bottle, classic Marc Jacobs. I mean, I've lost count now of how many of these Daisy perfumes that have come out from Marc Jacobs. It's like just there's at least like two or sometimes three, is it? Every single year. So if you fall in love with one that they're not keeping around, I'm sure that's very annoying. But anyway, the original Daisy, I think is okay. I much prefer the kind of Chanel Chance Au Tendre um, version of that particular profile. You know, I feel like they're quite similar scents, but um, Oh So Sweet is obviously much sweeter. It's kind of a different vibe. I would say this one is pushing slightly towards being kind of gourmand almost. There are still flowers, but it's like, yeah, it's pushing in that direction of being like so sweet and kind of candy-ish that it's got that slight gourmand element to it. But I also find there's something in here, the same with Ralph Lauren Romance, that really pierced me like instant migraine. Something very sharp and piercing, which I am fairly sure is probably either some kind of synthetic musk or some kind of aroma chemical, because I do get it in perfumes like Idole, for instance, and a number of other ones that I can't remember offhand. But um, yeah, there's something incredibly piercing in here, and I don't mean like sharp and acidic from the fruit, because I like sharp and acidic fruity perfumes. That this is more like a kind of needle in the eye, kind of piercing thing going on here, and I don't think many people can smell that either in this or Ralph Lauren Beyond Romance. I've only ever come across a few reviews that talk about this being them or either of them being like piercing. But anyway, the notes in Daisy Love Oh So Sweet are raspberry, blackberry, bergamot in the top, middle notes of daisy and jasmine in the mid, and then base notes of sugar, musk, white iris, and woodsy note. It's very sugary, definitely I can smell that. You get a little hint of those kind of ever so slightly powdery florals maybe, but there's a lot of raspberry and a bit of blackberry. I feel like if it didn't have that particular piercing element, I'd probably really enjoy this perfume, but it's just not really for me. Happily, I have Philosophy Falling in Love, and that for me is a beautiful kind of sweet, creamy, blackberry, musky perfume, which I absolutely love. And I sold it on because they were so similar, but I had the raspberry kind of sister of that one, which I think is called Unconditional Love as well, and that I think is a nicer version of something like Daisy Love, Oh So Sweet, and Ralph Lauren Romance, personally for me anyway. So in terms of this one, I can kind of get some similarities with something like Sugarful Dream, which I think is one of the things that it's compared to. That's Michelle Germain. So, but that one is kind of acidic and sugary, so it's got that sherbety thing. It's got quite a nice balance in there. Um, so it doesn't smell as piercing as this one. It's kind of got a different feel to it. It doesn't feel quite so chemically. And so, I mean, I'd say in terms of this kind of thing, although they're not really for me, they're not my style, I would say that both of the Ariana Grande perfumes, one's called Ari and one's called Sweet Like Candy, I feel like they're kind of nicer sweet and sour candy perfumes, if you see what I mean. They're kind of more interesting, very sugary, sweet, raspberry yumminess, you know. Again, like they're not really my kind of thing, but I do think that in terms of like price and just generally what they smell like, I'd be more likely to say maybe try those instead before you try Daisy Love. But yeah, Oh So Sweet, not for me. But yeah, I just think maybe the house of Marc Jacobs, like the DNA, just doesn't really suit me, to be honest. It's just not really my kind of thing. But anyway, gave it a go. Not for me, but yeah, I know loads of people love this one, so Very personal.